Welcome to Network Ethics. So as I it's a as it's a day two of your Fine One Firewall Combo demo session. So as I mentioned in day one demo session, so I just want to take any of the topic in Palo Alto Firewall since this batch is going to start with Palo Alto Firewall. Okay, and other firewalls demo I will share you the previous demo session recorded videos and all, so you can just go through that, guys. And as I mentioned, after this demo I'll share the curriculum and other links to verify the to get the detailed information about all curriculum information in this all the product. Okay, so I'll share that link to refer you guys. Okay, you can just refer it. So without any delay, I just want to go with today's demo session today. As I mentioned, I'm going to take up some topic in Palo Alto. So that topic is I'm going to take it a demo in Palo Alto under Palo Alto and Palo Alto administration. Under administration, device management. Actually, the main topic it comes under the device management. Under Palo Alto device management, it's a subtopic administrator administration. Under administration, we are going to discuss today. We are going to see what are all the type of administrator use. We are going to we are going to do lab with the admin roles or administrator. We are going to create a new admin user accounts with a different kind of privileges. So what are the type of administrator accounts we can create? And then today we are going to create one type of administrator user accounts with a different type of admin privileges comes under that particular administrator types. So it's part of administration. Okay, so simply admin roles. The topic admin roles. Okay, today we are going to talk about the admin roles, guys. Okay, so in Palo Alto Firewall, we can create a multiple administrators, and we can your Palo Alto will allow simultaneously log in with your Palo Alto Firewall for multiple admin users. Okay, so the admin role users we can create in a two different methods. So let me types of administrators. I'm not talking about the roles. You can create a new admin user account in a two ways. So one is the dynamic method. Another type is role based. Okay. So today we are going to deal with the dynamic method. Okay, before going to that, why we need to create a multiple admin user account in Palo Alto Firewall, so that we need to know. So in your production network, you're not only the person you're going to access your Palo Alto Firewall to manage, create a rule objects, and then enable some services or disable some services, right? So and doing a patch update or license upgradation, lot of activities we have to do to protect your network, right? So in that case, so we need to interrogate with the multiple teams as well, and in your own team as well. In your own team, you may have a multiple employees. So you are the senior most employee. So you might have a experience with a Palo Alto firewall, well, full hands on your Palo Alto firewall. So you can do anything based on your infrastructure needs or client needs. So you know in and out of your Palo Alto firewall. But at the same time, in your teammates, so you are someone who doesn't have, someone is doing only for the deployment kind of activities like configuring the interfaces or enabling routing related. So let's say some of the you need to belongs to some other team based on yours infrastructure architecture. So let's say if you're working in a huge environment, they may have a different team for networking part, right? They may have a different team for server administration. Okay, and they may have a different team for VPN, dedicated team for VPN solutions. Like that, it's totally depends on the infrastructure on your organization infrastructure size. Okay, so in that case, and dedicated team for the firewall administration. Okay, and dedicated team for the auditing audit team. Okay, and SOC team need to SOC team need to analyze your firewall logs. So SOC analyst sometimes to fetch your logs, or they need to get the log, read the log of your firewall. So sometimes they need to access your Palo Alto firewall, right? So so you are not only, I mean, your firewall administration team are not only going to access it, even though if, let's say, if you're under SOC team and one of the you're working under SOC team, so some of them employees will monitor the firewall logs, some of the employees will monitor the end user point logs, right? So they need to access, in that case they need to access your firewall logs. And likewise the dedicated monitoring team will access the firewall logs, or will they directly from the firewall, or they can get segregate the logs in under central console. So just like a device management, like in Palo Alto Panorama, we have the same way other tools, they will use it to segregate the logs. Okay. So if in that case, so there also need to access your Palo Alto firewall. So you should not provide full access to that particular administrator. I mean, the default admin login credentials or default access, you should not provide everyone. So the networking team will manage the networking related things like routing, VPN, sometimes, right? So interface configuration, right? So that and all they will do it. So they honestly, I don't want to allow them to others. I mean, the for network team employee, if they want to access our Palo Alto firewall, they need a credential. The server, I mean, there is server team, sometimes they need to while integrate your Palo Alto firewall. So some of the scenario in some organization, they will allow the server administration team to access your Palo firewall sometimes. So in that case, they also need to access the Palo Alto firewall. So you are going to access the Palo Alto firewall, you're going to give the privileges, the username and password to access your Palo Alto firewall, to manage something on the to integrate your Active Directory server or Taka server, Radius server, right? So in that case, they need to access it. So likewise, the firewall team need a credential. So everyone are going to access your Palo Alto firewall. If all know, if all going to use a default credential, I mean full access of your Palo Alto firewall, then it will make a loophole to your production network. So because so networking team who doesn't belongs to, I mean, if the networking team employee also will know whatever the your rule implementation, whatever the service you are allowing a deny or objects you are sharing, right? So what is your license update upgradation, everything, what is the patch upgradation details in your production network, everything the networking team employees also know that, server team employees also will know that, VPN team employees also will know that, audit team employees also will know that, so SOC team also will know that, so firewall administrator team, you also will know that. So everyone will know all the uh, configuration details in your Palo Alto firewall. So that will make a loophole to your production network. So if someone internal employees, insider threat, so they call it as an insider threat. So they will do malfunctioning by knowing this configuration details. So they can, and as well as unnecessarily network, if they have a first thing, they, if they know all the details about the configuration details about the firewall, right? So they may become an insider threat. So that is a first thing, insider threat. Okay, and second drawback, so networking team will, if they have a full access, so unnecessarily they may try to do some modification on your existing rule or object services, right? Whatever it is, so whatever it's implemented by the firewall team, that might be modified by some other team employees. So unnecessary modification on your firewall, configuration changes, unnecessary configuration changes without knowing or without necessary configuration changes will be happen, guys. So to avoid this, these and all, it will make a loophole to your production network. So so to avoid this, so we need to provide some certain of so we need to create a different access for each team or each employees based on their job role. Okay, based on their job role, based on their activity, right? So we need to create a different privileges. Okay, so so that's the reason we should not provide the default credential to all the team which we are they need to access your Palo Alto firewall. So we need to provide the different privileges, and we need to provide the different privileges plus they need to we need to provide the dedicated account for that particular users or particular team to access your Palo Alto firewall, so that we can able to manage efficiently, and we can able to come to know that who did these changes or who did modify this, whatever it is, everything we can easily understand. If you're giving a different type of I mean the user account, if you're giving a different user account, if you're giving a same, if you're using a default admin user account, so we will not say will not able to mention identify who did the changes, because so networking team also will access the same credential, server team also will access the same credential, firewall team also will access it, SOC team also will access it, or audit team also will access it. So anybody may did some changes, so that we cannot identify who did the changes. While doing that changes, that might affect your production network. So we need to authorize that, we need to verify that, right? So that is very difficult when you're using a single administrator user account. So that's the reason we are providing a your Palo Alto firewall allow multiple administrator users can log in simultaneously and with a different kind of roles, different kind of privileges. Okay, so that administrator user account we can, as I mentioned, we can create in a two ways. One is a dynamic method. So now come back to the topic. So this is before, why we need to create a multiple admin user account, that what is the reason behind that, that we see that we saw that. So now we are going to see what are the type of admin user accounts we can create in your Palo Alto firewall, and what are all the, for that admin user accounts, what are all the privileges we can have it. So that we are going to see now. So you can create a admin user account in a two methods in Palo Alto firewall. One method is a dynamic method or dynamic role, dynamic administrators you can say, and another method is a role based method. Okay, so dynamic method administrators, if you are going to create a new admin user account in a dynamic method, so dynamic methods are inbuilt privileges. It's vendor itself, or you can say in a pan operating system itself, it's a predefined, or you can say instead of inbuilt, you can say it's a predefined role. Dynamic method or dynamic role administrator, if you're going to create a new administrator account in a dynamic method, you can choose any of the inbuilt profiles or privileges, access levels, inbuilt profile you can choose. So what are all that inbuilt? Today we are going to do lab with this inbuilt profile only. Okay, and if you go for a role based, it's in a customized one. You can create, you can customize the console access or privileges as an administrator. You can customize. So I as I mentioned, so someone is belongs to networking team, if they want to access networking related features only, I want to allow them to see, I want to allow them to see in their console and modify configuration whatever it is. So whatever the feature they need, that I'm going to customize, so that you're having a more control on the console. If you choose a inbuilt privileges, that will give a more that will give much visibility to all other administrators. So but if you go for a role based method, you have a more control on the console, so you can customize what kind of privileges, what kind of console the role based administrator can, that particular administrator who is belongs to networking team. So the networking team administrators, what kind of console they can able to access it. The audit team you administrators, what kind of console they can access it. So the audit team administrators see only audit related information. Other consoles will not be provided to that particular administrator. And networking team administrators can see only networking related configuration like routing, VPN, NAT, right? And data interface configuration. That kind of consoles only they can able to see in their login. Other features, other information will not be provided to them. So likewise, each and every administrators you can customize if you are going to the role-based method to create a new admin user account. So this lab we will do it in our live session. Okay, today we are going to do lab with a dynamic method. So dynamic method, as I mentioned, there are inbuilt roles, inbuilt roles. Okay, so let me show you. There are six type of inbuilt roles in a dynamic method. Let me show you that. So super user and super user read only, device administrator read only, and virtual system administrator read only. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, yes. So come back to the session. Super user, super user read only, device administrator read only. These four admin roles are these inbuilt privileges you can utilize when you have a basic level hardwares. Okay, so and then VM series, virtual machine firewall, Paloalto firewall. The virtual system administrator and virtual system administrator read only these two roles plus above four roles you can see in a mid-range hardware to high-end hardware, because basic level hardwares like Palo Alto 200 series, Palo Alto 500 series firewalls will not support this virtual system. Okay, so I'll let you know later what is virtual system. So okay, so virtuals. The after that PA 700 series devices and above up to 7000 series we have, the devices will support the virtual system. Okay, virtual system you can compare with your, I hope everyone has at least have a knowledge of CCNA, so you know what is VLAN, right? So virtual system you can compare with VLAN. What is VLAN? When you have a physical broadcast domain, I mean switch, one switch, you can logically split as a multiple switch, right? Multiple broadcast domain, right? So you can each VLAN act like a different network as well, right? So you physically that is same network, but logically it's connected with a multiple network, I mean multiple switch, right? The same way virtual system is a logical firewalls where when you have a physical hardware firewall and you can just split multiple single physical hardware, you can split as a multiple logical firewall, and each logical firewall you can deploy separately and manage separately for the separate process, I mean process. So you can deploy, you can individually you can treat that virtual system 1, virtual system 2, virtual system 3, and virtual system 1 I can assign some of the hardware data interfaces, and I can deploy that virtual system 1 firewall into the different processor and I can create a rule to manage, and I can treat as a dedicated firewall, that virtual system 1, and a virtual system 2 I can treat as a different type of another dedicated firewall, and virtual system 3 I can manage as a dedicated another dedicated firewalls. Okay, but physically it's a single hardware, but logically it can act like a multiple firewall. So this concept is called virtual system. That will be supported by the mid-range firewall to high-end hardware firewalls, and virtual machine firewalls and entry level hardware firewalls will not support this virtual system features. Okay, because for this virtual system we need a huge hardware resources. So normal hardware, basic hardwares, resources we will not able to establish the virtual system. And VM firewalls, it's already under running under the virtual system concepts only, so you cannot create a virtual system in a VM firewalls. Okay, so I hope as of now you guys have some idea what is virtual system. So in your hardware it is supporting the virtual system, then you can create a virtual system administrator where you can create a virtual systems, and you can separately allocate the administrators to manage that particular virtual system, guys. Okay, so that is possible when you have a mid-range firewall or higher end firewall, hardware firewalls. Okay, so that's the reason I mention it. So the above four you can able to see all the range of firewalls, VM firewall or hardware, basic hardwares or high-end hardwares. But these two you can see if it is a mid-range firewalls or high-end firewall, hardware firewalls, not in a VM firewalls or not in a basic firewalls, guys. Okay, so come back to the administrator roles. So as I mentioned, super user read only, device administrator, device admin read only, and virtual system administrator and virtual system admin read only, guys. So super user, okay, super user means he is I mean the default admin user account every hardware when you're trying to access, they will give you some default credential, right? So that is the admin user account. That admin user account, default admin user account, have the privilege called a super user. Super user, he has all the power, so he can manage everything in your Palo Alto firewall. Okay, so super user have all the power. Okay, so if you want to create a virtual system, then you should have a privilege in your, if you have a PA 7000 firewall and you are going to manage Palo Alto 7000 firewall, and your team asking you to create virtual system, three virtual system on that hardware. So that virtual system you can create when you have a super user privilege. If you want to create a virtual system, then first you need to have a super user privilege. Super user has a full power, full access, simply full access, who can able to create virtual system. And if you want to create a new admin user account, so today we want to create a multiple administrator user account. So if you want to create a new admin user account, vsys creation. And if you want to create a new admin user account, create or manage the admin user account. Okay, then you should have a super user privilege. Normal other administrator, device administrator, super admin read only, device admin read only, virtual system administrator read only. The other administrator cannot create a virtual system, or cannot create, I mean, not or, and they cannot create a other admin user account and privileges as well. If I can create a customized role. If I want to create a admin user account with a customized role based method, customized role, then first I should have a super user privilege. Okay, so this is the user has full power or superpower. So who can create an admin user account, or modify the existing admin user account, or delete that admin user account, or create a new admin roles profiles, right? So or create a virtual system, new virtual system, or manage existing virtual system. Then that particular administrator should have a super user. So super user only can able to do these two tasks. Other administrator, they will not able to do it. And along with that, he can able to create a policy and manage the interfaces, network related hardware configuration, logs. He can able to segregate whatever you can do it in your Palo Alto firewall. All the features, all the functionality, he can able to do it, the super user. And then super user read only. The super user read only, it's he has the name itself defining, he has a read only mode. He can just read, he can just saw whatever the configuration it's done by the super user, that configuration he can able to see that, and accept password profile. And he cannot modify, he cannot configure anything, just like a virtual system creation, or administrator user account creation, or deletion, or modification, or policy creation, or log segregation, interface configuration, whatever it is. He cannot do any action. He can read whatever the super user did configured, right? So that he can just read, except password profile or password information about other administrator details. Other administrator details, he can able to see that. Other admin user account, he can able to see that. But password profile, or he cannot modify the password, right? So password profile, he cannot able to see that. Okay, and as a super user read only, except password profile, whatever the super user is configured already, that configuration, he has a read only permission. He cannot modify, he cannot create something new, right? So that is not possible when you have a super user read only privileges. Okay. And device administrator have a full access on your Palo Alto firewall, not just like a, I mean, not like a super user. Okay, so device administrator, the device administrator has full access of your Palo Alto firewall, but not possible. He cannot create virtual system. If you want to create, the limitation of the device administrator, no vsys virtual system creation, it's not possible. No, no admin user account, admin privileges, not possible. Not possible to create, and no virtual system creation. But he can able to create a policy. He can able to enable the interface. He can able to segregate the logs. He can able to see the logs. He can troubleshoot the consoles, and he can configure the console, right? He can see other administrator, he cannot see other administrator details, but other information except these three features, I mean, sorry, these two features. virtual system creation and deletion modification, admin user account creation, deletion, modification, admin role creation and deletion modification. Okay, except these three roles, password profile, modification or deletion, right? So except these three, he can create a policy, enable the interface, log configuration, and then other configuration, other firewall configuration, right? So that he can able to do it, like patch update, s- uh, he can to take a backup, restore, and patch update, license upgradation, everything he can able to do it except the above three things. Okay, so device administrator. Then what does device administrator? Read only. Device administrator read only. The administrator, the device administrator, whatever the device administrator, whatever the changes he did, that he can just read it, but he cannot modify, he cannot delete, right? So just a minute, guys. Okay, sorry. So he cannot modify or delete anything which is created by the device administrator. He can just read whatever the device administrator is configured, the changes or update it, right? So then virtual system administrator. So once the device administrator is created a virtual system, sorry, super user. Once the super user created the virtual system, that virtual system can be managed by the super user, and then the device super user can create one separate administrator to manage that virtual system, and he can able to create a policy, modify the policy or object services, whatever, based on that particular virtual system only. He can do it on that particular virtual system only, virtual system one. If the virtual super user is created or one administrator account to manage the virtual system one, and that person can manage only on that particular virtual system one only, not on virtual system two or hardware based changes. He cannot do it anything. So the same way virtual system and he doesn't have a privilege to create or manage the hardware configuration, interface configuration, VPN configuration, network configurations. So that kind of configuration it's not possible by the virtual system administrator. The same way whatever the virtual system administrator created or configured, modified, so that he can just read. The administrator name is virtual system administrator, guys. Okay, so these are all the roles we have in a dynamic method. So now we are going to head into the lab. We are going to do that lab. We are going to create a multiple admin user account. Okay. And we are going to do lab on that, guys. Okay. So let me go to the Palo Alto firewall and how to access this console and how to do initial configuration, everything. I already did on that lab. I mean the previous demo. So that's the reason I don't want to take it the same topic in this demo as well. So a different topic I I prefer today. So I'm taking the administrator role today. Okay, so if you want to know how to access the console and how to do when you're getting a fresh Palo Alto firewall, how to configure very first time everything, I'll share the link to where refer, so you can just refer it, guys. After that, you can decide. Okay, so as of now, my Palo Alto firewall have how to create this lab, how to upload the image files, how to access the console, everything I'll teach you in the live sessions. Okay, so now my Palo Alto firewall management interface have 192.160.1.3. So I just want to access the GUI console of my Palo Alto firewall. Palo Alto firewall we can able to access through GUI and CLI. Now I'm going to access the CLI, sorry, GUI console as of now. It's a fresh Palo Alto firewall. So let me configure, just log in with a default admin user account. Okay, the Palo Alto has the default admin user account. That admin has a super user privilege. So the user default username is admin and password also it's a admin. When you log in very first time, it will ask you to change the password. Okay, uh, of your default administrator credential. And new password I'm giving here. And after change the password, you have to log in. Okay, just go with the admin. Okay, I'm logging with the default administrator credential, and default admin user account name is administrator. And as I mentioned, he has a privilege of super user. Okay, so where I can see that the administrator, you can see in the below of that admin login detail, you login username is admin. Okay, when he logged in that information, and about his privileges, I want to know that. So go to device and then setup, go to the administrators. You can see it's showing only one admin user account. It's a default admin user account. And if you look at the role, super user. Okay, this default administrator have a super users. Then only super user only can create other administrators. Okay, so other administrator like device administrator, device admin read only, they cannot create anything. So any new admin user account or virtual system and all. So you must have a privilege of super user. Now I'm logged in with the default administrator, and who has a super user role. So if he has a super user, we can able to create the admin user account, right? So let me create other admin user account, whatever the privileges we have now. So we have, this is a virtual system firewall, and it will support four privileges: device administrator, super user read only, device administrator, device admin read only. All the four privileges we will explore right now, guys. Okay, so we'll create all administrator. Okay, so I just want to create a new admin user account, and then I'm going to select the role dynamic method, and I'm going to select the role super user one, another super user read only one account, and device administrator account one role, and device admin read only account one role. So these four we are going to test it right away, guys. Okay, so let me create a new admin user account. Go to administrators, create, you go to the below add menu, and there you can create a new admin user account. So just go to add and give a name. So I'm going to give a name admin1. Admin1 is the username. Okay, and for him I'm going to make him as a super user. I don't want, after this, I don't want to use my super user admin, default super user admin account. So I'm going to use my new admin user account, super user admin user account, which I'm going to create right now, right? So username is the admin1, and give a password, confirm password. Okay, and then administrator type. You can see I told you, right? So there are, you can create a administrator user account in two ways. One is a dynamic method, another one is a role based. So dynamic method and role based. I just want to go with the dynamic method as of now. Role based we'll do it in a live sessions, right? So a dynamic method, and you can see as soon as I click dynamic method, it is chosen a super user. And let me explore other administrator inbuilt roles. So we are not created these roles, we are not created super user, we are not create the role, and super user read only, and device administrator, device admin read only, these are all the inbuilt roles which is already predefined by the pan operating system itself. So you can choose these roles only. Okay, in if you're going with the dynamic method, so you cannot customize the console of what that particular administrator can see or visible, what all the features can be visible for that particular administrator who is belongs to networking team, or who is belongs to audit team, like that. So that you cannot customize, you can make them just read only, or write some device administrator, you can make as a super user read only, or device administrator or device admin read only. So if they are going to do some action on your firewall, okay, they are going to do some changes on your firewall. Okay, so let's say for audit team, I can just allow them read information. So they are going to just check the logs, log information only. They are going to read that something in your Paloalto firewall under logs monitoring feature, they can just read the logs information. So in that case, I can go with the device administrator read only, so that they cannot modify anything, just they can read it, the logs information. Okay, and likewise other administrator, if some administrator is account I'm creating, who is belongs to firewall administration team, and I don't want to allow him to mm, I don't want to give a full access to modify everything on your Palo to firewall. I just want to give a limited features like creating a policy, enabling the interface, creating an object. I don't want to allow him to create a new admin user account, or create a virtual system, or manage virtual system and all. So in that case, I can go with the device administrator. Okay, so based on their job nature, you can choose any of the rule which is suitable to them in a secure way, that you can choose it, guys. Okay, so let me create this admin one as a super user, and after that log in by this admin user account, then we are going to create other admin user account details, guys. Okay, and we are not maintaining, we are maintaining the local password local user credential and passwords. We are not using any other password profile as of now. Just click OK to create admin user account. Okay, you can see admin user account we have created with a role super user. So this changes, you need to take action in your firewall, then you need to save the changes. To save the changes in your firewall, you need to commit. You have options to commit. So whatever the changes you have did, if you're not committed, that changes will be saved in your temporary configuration, or that called as a candidate configuration, and that changes will not be updated. Your firewall will not take any action until unless manually you're pushing to this save the changes, which means the commit. You need to commit, then only whatever the changes you have did, that will be updated, guys. Okay. So now I have committed. Once the commit is completed, I'm going to log out from the default admin user account. The username is admin, and I'm going to log in with a new admin user account which we have created as a super user, and we are going to test their privilege. Okay. So let me log out now and just log in with a admin one, who is the who is I mean, this administrator is the new administrator which we have created, right? Okay. Just a second. So now go to the device administrator details. You can see now, you can see two admin user account. Both are having a super user. Now I am logged in with the admin one, who is the newly created, that new admin user account. I'm just login, and he is a super user privileges, right? So super user privilege can just can able to do everything in your Palo Alto firewall. So he can create a another admin user account, and he can modify your policy, anything whatever it is, right? So let me, I'm going to test his privileges. I'm going to create a new admin user account here. If it is able to if it is allow for your firewall is allowed to allow him to create, then he has that super user role. Okay, let me create new admin user account. This time I'm going to create new admin user account as a admin 2, and I'm going to make him as a just make it password. Okay, I'm going to make him as a device dynamic administrator, and then under dynamic administrator, I'm going to make it as a super user read only, not super user. Super user man means he can able to create a new admin user account, right? He cannot, but he can modify everything. He can manage everything, but super user cannot do anything like configuration, modification, may right? But he can just read whatever the super user did, except the password profile. Other information he can able to read it. Okay, so just click OK. Likewise, I'm going to create other admin user accounts. So after that, we are going to test one by one. Admin 3, I'm going to make him as a device administrator. Okay. And I'm going to create another administrator user account as admin 4. I'm going to make him as a device administrator read only. Okay. So now you can see 4 admin user accounts we have. Just do commit. And now we logged in with the super user with the username is admin1, which we have created. And also simultaneously, I'm going to log in with the another admin user account called admin2, which is super user read only. And I'm going to test the privilege level. I'm going to configure, I'm trying to create a new admin user account, and I'm trying to enable some interface configuration policy. So that kind of things I'm going to try it with all the other admin user account details to test their privilege level. Okay, so let me log in with a new admin user account. So with a new console, and now I'm going to log in as a admin 2. Admin 1 is the admin default admin user account admin, and admin 1 both are super user privileges. So we have tested already. So now I'm going to do with admin. I'm going to log in with admin 2 who has a super user read only privilege, right? Okay. Now go to device, and first of all, just go to dashboard, and you can see that multiple login admin information. I told you, right? So your Paloalto firewall simultaneously allow you other administrators. So admin 1, admin 2, right? Both are logged in. Two administrators are right now. It is logged in your Paloalto firewall. Okay. And go this administrator. Who is that? This administrator. He is a admin 2. Administ admin 2 have what kind of privileges he has? Go to device to verify that, and go to administrators. You can see it is showing all administrator details, right, for this administrator as well. And who is he? Admin 2, super user read only. Super user read only means he can just read it, he cannot modify, he cannot write something on new, right? So he cannot do anything new configuration in your Palo Alto file. He cannot do any configuration changes or configuration, right? So let me try to create a new administrator account. You can see that this creation and deletion, these features are disabled because he has a read-only privilege. He can just read whatever the device super user can configure. That he can just read it. He cannot write. So the same way to go to create a policy, and you can see that policy also. I'm not able to create anything. The add and deletion, creation and deletions are disabled, right? So now let me go to the objects. Try to create a new object. You can see that. Go to interface. At least try to enable some interface, and Ethernet 1/1. You can see that here. You can clearly see that information. You can just read it. You cannot modify anything because I have a super user read only. So I can just read whatever the existing configuration which is did by my super user. That configuration I can just read it, but I cannot modify. I cannot create new something on that, right? So it's not possible because I have a read only privilege. It's clearly showing that I have a read only privileges because I right now I'm logged in with a super user read only privilege, so that I can read all the information which is modified or created by the super user. I cannot delete or I cannot create something, right? So let me log out now. His privileges clearly we can just verify it, right? So now I'm going to log out with this administrator user account. I'm going to log in with a device administrator who has a admin 3 privilege. Sorry, user account. Okay, so just log out and log in with the admin 3 privileges, admin 3 user account, admin 3. He has a privilege called device administrator. What does it mean by device administrator? Device administrator have a full access of your firewall. He can create a policy, enable the interfaces, but he cannot create a new admin user account or a virtual system, or he cannot modify anything existing user account detail. He cannot see other admin user information as well, right? So let me go to here and verify the login administrator details. Admin 3 logged in. So and to check who is he here, we logged in as a admin 3. So go to device and try to see other administrator details and try to see my privilege as well. Go to device and administrator. You can see that when I went to the device administrator, I mean super user account, when I try to access my console, right now I take another console of my admin 1 user who has a super user privilege so that he can able to see other administrator details. And let me go back to the admin 3 privilege. You can see that admin 3, when I'm logged in with admin 3, it's showing only my account details. It's not showing other administrator details because that is visible only super user and super user read only, not for other administrator, other admin user login information or other administrator privileges. I mean, admin user account details, their privileges, their role, everything. It will not visible to other administrators. Only it will visible to super user or and super user read only administrator privileges only, administrators only. Okay. So now I try to create a new admin user account here. You can see that is disabled. I cannot modify, and I can set only, I can reset the password, my password, because I am the administrator, but I am not modify anything about the existing administrators. I mean other administrators. Okay. So now, but I can do something, right? I can modify something on my firewall, except the super user privileges, some like admin user account creation and virtual system creation and managing, virtual system management and admin account management. I can create a policy and I can enable the interfaces, right? So let me go to the policy and test it. You can see it is showing add and delete features, right? Let try to add one policy. Let me create a dummy policy, policy number one, and just make it any. Because I'm not, we are not doing anything as of now. We are not doing anything. We are not handling a live traffic. So dummy policy I'm creating, and for full details, with the full details, I will do it in a live session. I'll let you know that, guys. So you can see I'm able to create, and I'm trying to delete. Yes, I can able to delete as well, right? And and go to the network and try to enable the interface. You can see it's not showing read only. It can allow me to enable something like virtual layer 3 interface or virtual layer interface or deployment tab interface, whatever it is. It's allowing me to do some modification and allow me to configure. Here you can see that previously it was nothing. Now it is deployed as a tab interface, and I can change the mode as well. HA. Likewise, the changes I can able to do it because he has a device administrator role. So he can just delete the changes. You can see I can enable, I can disable everything. It's possible when it comes to the policy and the network type of configuration, interface configuration, other zone creation, whatever object creation. I can create the objects, so it is allowing me to create something, right? So everything it's possible when he is a device administrator. But the super user privileges such as the other admin user details, and then at creating new admin user account, creating a virtual system, that and all, it's not possible. It's not giving that because he has limited privileges for that. He's not authorized user. He cannot do anything like admin user account creation and managing the existing admin user account, and deletion, modification, and creating a virtual system and managing the virtual system, right? That and all, it's not possible. But rest of the thing he can able to do it, anything like interface configuration, policy configuration, object creation, and service integration, right? So everything it's possible because he has a device administrator role. So now let me log out. Okay, let me create one rule as a device administrator. Go to the policy and just create one dummy rule and commit the changes. If you're committed, then only it will be the changes will be updated in your firewall. Just commit it. Okay, so as soon as it's committed, now I'm going to log out from the device administrator admin 3, who has a privilege of device administrator, and I'm going to log in as a admin 4, who has a privilege of device admin read only, admin 4. And you can see that, so the login details, admin 4 also login, admin 1 and admin 4 are logged in as of now in this Paloalto firewall. And right now I'm in a console of admin 4. Go to device and just verify the details. My admin user detail only it is showing. And likewise go to the policy. I can able to read whatever the device administrator did the changes, right? The policy is created by the device administrator. Let me try to modify this policy. Go inside that. You can see that it's showing it's a read only privilege. Try to go inside. try to delete something and save the changes. Destination, and the destination, just make it multicast, and you can see it's not allowing me to save the changes because I don't have a privilege to do modification. I can just read it, whatever the device administrator did, right? Likewise, the object, the console under whatever the service, whatever the things you have, everything I can just read it. Likewise, the same interface, and you can see I cannot modify it because I have a device administrator read-only privileges. So I can just read whatever the device administrator did, but I cannot modify or delete something because I don't have that privileges. Okay, guys. So these roles are predefined roles. So you cannot custom if you're using this device. I mean dynamic role. You can just provide the console to the particular administrator, either read write permission or either read only permission. But the information, if you allow read only permission for all the administrator, they will get all the consoles, dashboard, network related information. So someone is belongs to networking team, I just want to allow them only networking related features. These console only I can allow it. But why I need to allow other unnecessarily to know that objects, whatever the object configuration, whatever the policy configuration, whatever the features, right? So whatever the device related, device administration related information, why I need to show them? Okay, so in that case, I just want to create a customized console access. Then you have options. You can create a new admin user account with a role based method, not in your dynamic method. Okay, dynamic method you can always choose any inbuilt profiles only, whichever we discuss right now, right? So that inbuilt profile you can choose, you can choose based on their job role. So if someone is going to do some changes on your Palo Alto firewall, device wise changes like administration under, if someone is going to someone need a privilege to create a other admin user account, then you need to make them as a super user. Or someone they need to only creating a policy or objects, right? Other configuration only they are going to do it. Then you need to choose a device, a super user, sorry, device administrator role for them. And someone is belongs to outside, and outside of your organization, and they want to access your Palo Alto firewall for providing a support, or uh, in that case, or the guest users want to access your Palo Alto firewall. In that case, you can just allow them to read only permission with a device administrator read only. Okay, so based on their job role, you can, if your client or your in your organization asking you to create a the administrator user account with a dynamic method, so you can choose any of the above four privileges. Plus, if you are having a virtual system in your production network, then you can go with a device virtual system admin as well, and virtual system admin read only as well. Totally six profile you can create. If but if they want to access only customized console, if they don't want to show them show others any other features which is not related to them, the networking team, they need to see only interface configuration inside the network profile. Okay, inside network profile we have a multiple things. So you have a zone information, interface information, and routing related informations, right? So for them, I don't want to allow uh, I don't want to allow them to read your zone related information, or write something on the zone related, or I don't want to allow them to read other uh, information which is related to the VPN or something, interface management profile or QoS policy, right? So DHCP configurations. So these kind of information, zone protection if you have. So these kind of are your crypto profile, what kind of encryption algorithm you're going to use in a VPN communication. So that profile you don't want to allow these features, you don't want to allow them to read or write as well. You can eliminate these features in their console. So I can entirely eliminate network profile for, or interface information, or uh, virtual router information. I mean routing related, routing update information, whatever it is. If I want to eliminate these feature, I don't want to allow them to read as well. Okay, I can make them a read option as well, a write option as well. I can just hide them. So when you are preferring role based method, so that we will do it on live session, guys. Okay, so in a feature in a that will give you the more control on your firewall console, so that you can just customize based on the job roles. You can just customize the console list. But when you're going for a role based, I mean dynamic method, you can just use only I mean, you can just use as per the inbuilt profiles, either read only or read write option, both. But however, you are going to give the full access of your console. But I mean, the full visibility of your console, the other administrator can able to see the device, network, object, policy, monitor, AS, dashboard, everything, all the information they can able to see it, even though they are belongs to read privilege as well, read only privileges as well. Okay. So when you want to create a full-fledged or full control console access to other administrator, then you can better to go with a role-based method. It's totally depends on the your organization needs and your client needs. So you're going to customize. Okay. As a super user, you're going to, as a firewall administrator, you are going to ask the client needs, and based on their needs, you are going to decide, and you are going to create the other administrator user account based on their team or the team or their own team or other team members are going to access it. So based on that, the console login credential and then console type, privileges type, everything you are going to choose it. Clear, guys? So that role-based method, we will do it on upcoming live session, guys. Okay. Anything, any queries or any doubts regarding today's session? We just talk about the dynamic administrator user account. So if you go inside that, each information, now you can read. This super user has a full access to firewall, including new administrator user account and virtual system creation. And for that, you must have a super user privilege to create a new admin user account, and then super user privileges. I mean, create a privileges as well. Okay. So what is the super user read only? Read only access to your firewall, whatever the super user is created. And what is the device administrator? Device administrator have a full access to your firewall settings except the new admin user account or virtual system creation. Okay. What is the device administrator read only? Whatever the device administrator, the device administrator, he has a read only access whatever the device admin is created. Okay. So whatever the device admin is admin creator, right? So sorry, device administrator, the full access to the firewall, and he can just create an he cannot create a new admin user account or virtual system and everything whatever except these two features, everything whatever the super user can do, that all the device administrator can do it. Okay. And what about the device administrator? Device administrator, he cannot create a new admin user account or virtual system, and as well as he cannot manage the password profile for other administrator user account and there. Right. And but rest of the changes whatever the device administrator did, that he can just read it. Okay. And what about the virtual system administrator? The virtual system administrator has a full access of the selected virtual system. As a super user can create a administrator user account to manage that particular virtual system, and that particular virtual system, that a particular vSys administrator can do manage, create the policy objects, whatever it is. But if you look at that, the hardware related, network related, hardware related configurations, they cannot able to do it. Okay. Because that is device wise, hardware wise configuration, that is not possible when he belongs to virtual system administrator. Okay. And what about the virtual system admin read only? Whatever the virtual system administrator can do, that he can just read it. The same way he cannot create or he cannot read something about the network interface configuration, VLAN information, virtual routing related configuration, right? So other network information configuration changes and hardware based informations, he cannot able to read it. Clear, guys? Any doubts? If if you have any queries, you can raise your hand. You can and I can unmute and you can ask me, guys. Yeah, Sean. Yeah, Sean. Which the regarding the yeah, you're asking about the fee structure, right? So let me uh, show you this player. So you can make your pay. I mean, you can join this Fine Firewall Combo. Actual cost is 40,000 if you're from India and our other countries abroad. So it's at 600 USD, and now we are giving a 50% offer. You can take this course for 20,000 rupees itself, and if you want, you can make a three installment payment option as well. And so first installment 50 could be a 50% of your course fee. So while joining, you have to pay that. So which means 10,000 INR or 150 USD. Okay. So and remaining when you're complete after completion of your first firewall, when you're entering the second firewall, so 25% of the fee you have to pay. So that is 5,000 INR or 75 USD. And after completion of your second firewall, when you enter into the third firewall, you have to pay remaining 25%. That is 5K and 75 USD. Okay. And this is your installment payment option. And now we are giving some special offer up to uh, April 2. Okay. So you can take, if you're ready to make a single installment payment, you can get 5,000 extra offer. So you can take this course for 15,000 INR for all your, okay, and 240 USD. So if you're ready to make your single payment, single installment payment option, guys. So your single payment, if you're going to do that, you will get extra 5,000 offer. Okay, it's valid only up to April 2, and the batch is going to start on 3rd April. Okay, in time will be 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. 1 hour. It's a weekdays batch. Monday to Friday we have a session on that. There is no session